Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on this, my journey into the constraints-led approach for BJJ. My name is Sam Battlefields, and I appreciate you coming along for the journey. Today, we started the games as normal, bit of boxing, as in torso shots, shoulder shots. I really wanted to reiterate that this is not to be a slap fighting thing. This is to really think about it as if we are boxing, and to think, if someone gets a clean hit on you, then you are likely to have been rocked. So being able to avoid that, while also finding openings, all that sort of thing. I'm seeing a definite improvement, particularly in the guys that are rocking up more often. The timing, the balance, the feints, everything is just working much better. I then threw a little bit of a spanner in the works for this game. So I said, like yesterday, I wanted to do something a little bit different that would then require a bit of thought. It would require a bit of thought, which here's the thing, all right? When you're constraining something, then you are obviously going to be. Actually, this is a good thing to talk through. So I'm gonna talk through it right now. So the game was lead hand is available, but only the rear foot. So only lead hand, only rear foot. So essentially, in comparison to yesterday, what I was looking to do is to see if you could make an opening only using these constrained approach. So yesterday, I actually found more affordances than I did today, because, and I think what I may have done, what I should have done is, alright, so I've just worked it out. What I should have done is done a lead hand, rear foot sparring, that's it, and then implemented the lead hand, rear foot, and also any kind of double enclosure on torso or limb. The reason being is because I went straight from that boxing into this thing that would require quite significant mental application. You would have to be thinking, like, you do have to be thinking, crap, I can't throw that, or there goes my rear hand, I better pull that back. I'm trying to open up with just my lead hand and then throwing the rear foot. The issue is I think I complicated it too much. So I then threw in this extra part, which could have been done as a third game, or could have been done as a game maybe tomorrow with some of the guys that have already been there. But unfortunately, I threw it all into the mix, and I got blast doubled. It was fucking great. But what it showed across the board was the differences in body height or body type. So the shorter guys, they actually saw when there was, the camera's looking down at me. So as I do that, obviously, I kind of have to bring that up, and it opens up the hips. And when you're a bit shorter, the hips are closer to you, and so therefore you're able to go to get inside for the blast double, which was well done, nice work, good one. And being that Will was in today, and he's considerably taller than me, so he'd probably be the same distance in height that Ridwan would be from me. So it was quite interesting getting in there and sort of trying to, again, I'm not confident with sort of blast doubles and going for singles and that sort of thing. So I'm still making games around it, because I figure if I start to work it, but I think there's also definitely a mobility issue with me that I haven't been properly addressing, mainly because I've been rehabbing my shoulders so much that I haven't been focused on strengthening my knees, which I need to do pretty much all the time. So, and look, I'm going to say it's just me being lazy, essentially. But that's all right. So the second game, the win for the person on the bottom. This is the guard games. The win is 2 hands on the mat, similar to yesterday. However, the win for the person in guard was to get their knee on touching the front of their hip. Now, they could do that in any way, shape, or form that they like. I made the joke that I don't care if you go via Timbuktu, just your knee on the front of their hip. And then I got asked, what is the front of their hip? Just anything that is the front of the hip. All right. And as I got kind of excited with myself for my own game development, representative learning, design development, the same thing was from mount. And for those who are intuitive out there, they're the same. They're essentially the same game, just upside down. So I gave myself a nice little pat on the back for that development. But obviously vastly different in execution. But what I wanted to do was show that very much the principles were very much the same, in that we are trying to make space at the hips, so create space in order to get a knee through, which then creates some sort of a frame. Now, ultimately, that frame was the knee, and it could be, as I said, around the outside, much more difficult around the outside. What I wanted to work on, and the reason why I've got this stuff prepped here, I'm just going to press play. This is Marcus Bulchecha Almeida. I hope I don't have the accent, so it might not sound right. But he's got this, and he's talking. This particular move, I could never get it. Like, you know, people would be collapsing on me. I mean, obviously, I've only done it in an IP situation, but coming up to what I was looking to do was get better at getting my knee in for a mount escape, so that I could get one knee in and then potentially another knee, which is it's going to be a follow-on game tomorrow, I think, where I get one knee in and then the second knee in and come up. Now, I'm not sure if I. So this guy shows a bit more about what I was looking to kind of do with this. So I'm not sure. Hang on a sec. Yeah. So look, that seems more available, and right, like the principles remain the same. You got to get your knees in. So it's essentially the same thing, just with different steps, right? So what's the fundamental part of this? Well, you've got to get your knee in that area, so like on the front of their hip, right? So that was the reason for creating that game, and why I wanted to do it was because I wanted to figure out if I've never been able to do it, and so I wanted to be able to get one knee in, because when you get one knee in, you should be able to get another knee in, and whether you might be flattened out at that stage, but you've got frames in that you can then work with. So that was the purpose of it. Afterwards, we ended up having, so because the games went a bit longer, we had less time to free roll, but the guys were asking a lot of questions, and I think this is the first time I've really kind of, maybe, I don't know if I got prescriptive, but because I tried to maintain concept, as in getting your frames in. How do you do that? Well, you've got to destabilize in order to make the space, in order to get your knee in, which then creates that. And it's funny noticing, like, we go through this for one particular thing, and I was trying to use, as I said, more concept language. So, you know, you want to create a frame that's using your knee in between your hips, so that you use a frame with your arms in order to get the secondary frame using your knee on the front of their hips in order to execute whatever next move you want to make. And it was the destabilization was a big factor that I was trying to get across to people, because what Brad said to me, like, I think like 6 destabilizing back and forth, so 5 or 6, couldn't tell you exactly, but it wasn't a stupendous amount, but it wasn't 2 or 3, right? And he just went, oh well, you made that easy, you know. And I was like, yeah, yes and no, but only because I've been working on this concept of the destabilization, right? So because in the back of my mind I've got this thing of just destabilize them. I don't go 1 2 3 1 2 3 3 3 1 anymore. I'm like, just go, you know. Just if they're going one way, you can go the other. And yeah, I don't know how to explain it better, but the destabilization is such a key thing. And then while I'm talking about that, another question comes up, which is like, oh, so when your arms are up, you know, up high, and I've got you've got to re-establish a frame. And I'm like, yeah, like this is what I've been getting to. We got to always be re-establishing these frames. If I get underneath your arms, you're fucked. You know, if I'm covering your hips, you're fucked. So yeah, I think maybe at the end of the class, maybe I talk too much. I think this is the first time where I'm second guessing myself on the actual talking too much. I tried not to be prescriptive, as in, you know, oh, you need to do this. But then again, the questions were very specific about the framing. So was I getting? I don't know. I tried to bring it back to the frame doesn't matter. Not the frame doesn't matter. The frame mattered, but it was the destabilization that mattered more. A good question came up as well around gi. So, like, I've been talking a lot since Alex pointed it out to me that I was doing a lot of trying to grab arms and upper body and drag them down, whereas what I should have been doing is framing off the hips. And this was a year and a half ago or something, and since then, it really clicked with me that, yeah, I mean, if I'm framing off their hips, they can't do shit to my neck, which is what I was kind of, I was firstly defending against and then trying to attack an arm. But if I'm getting rid of their hips, they can't do anything anyway. And then the question came out about lapels, and I mean, I'm not really working with that much no-gi lately, but even with lapels, like, if you're destabilising them, they're not getting a good grip on your lapels. So don't so much worry about what grips they're getting. I mean, it was funny, not funny, the concern for something that just isn't there, and I had it, as I said, I had it a year and a bit ago, where I was like protecting my neck, and I mean, what are they going to get when they're in mount, especially with no gi? But even with gi, what are they going to get? Like a cross collar choke? I mean, A, who's going to get my neck? I don't have one. But B, even if they started going for it, you can defend that fucking quickly. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I think I'll leave it at that today. There's a little bit of... It was a good session. I just think I talked too much at the end. And like I am right now. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Speak to you soon.